Having a parent who has borderline personality disorder, BPD for short, makes you feel uncomfortable 99% of the time. You will feel like you're walking on eggshells, confused and overwhelmed for their next unpredictable move. Now, recognizing the signs is not just about understanding your parent better, it's learning how to be resilient and less emotionally sensitive. So today, expect some deep psychology talks, some real life examples, and some extreme advice to guide you through this extreme parental behavior. Borderline parents are roller coasters of extreme emotions in a short space of time. One moment they might shower you with love and affection, and then the next they could be engulfed in a fit of rage, or because maybe you didn't answer your phone quick enough, or you didn't unload the dishwasher, or you simply just spilt your drink on the dining room table. Around this parent, you will feel like you're walking on eggshells. You choose your words and actions carefully and make yourself smaller to not trigger them. It feels safer to not rock the boat of BPD than to admit something is wrong to another family member. Now, as a child, you closely observe this parent. You observe how they are feeling so that you can prepare for their next meltdown. You may find yourself always serving their needs and shutting off your own, putting something on the television that they want to watch, only talking about conversation topics that they enjoy. You grow up learning what mood they are in based on the slam of a kitchen cupboard, listening to how they walk upstairs and how to be a superhero in quickly calming someone down. Now, you notice everything and constantly read the room, even in your adult relationships today. Your own emotional dictionary remains blank. Your BPD parent out-emotioned you, and you became so focused on them that you never learned how to describe your own emotions. In the childhood home, it may have felt like it didn't matter if you were sad, anxious, angry, or happy because the parent overshadowed you. And what happens when you do feel emotions? Well, you internalize them, shut them down, and possibly dissociate. You may have felt your parent adored you, but hated you at the same time. There will be times when your own emotions burst out of you because you can't hold on to them forever. And this almost pleases the BPD parent when they see it because they have emotionally manipulated you into getting a response, to which they may reply, well, look at you, you're just like your father, or some other derogatory comment that makes you feel that you are in the wrong for having emotions and standing up for yourself. Lame deflection. Never, ever, 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 and I repeat, ever, tell your BPD parent that they are the problem. Why? Because it will only trigger them, and let me tell you, you will never get an apology. The closest you would probably get is, well, I'm sorry, but blah, 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 or you're just way too sensitive, or after all I've done for you, this is how you repay me? BPD parents can never see that they are the problem. It would cause so many icky feelings inside for them that they would quite literally starve themselves to death than admit that they were hungry. Their reply is going to be, that never happened, or well, I don't remember it that way, or you are exaggerating, or maybe, so what, the past is in the past. Now get this, the brain of a borderline is running at full steam ahead, meaning memory recall becomes impaired, and in most cases, they really cannot remember the past, but for the most part, they will not want to acknowledge the damage that they have caused. They will never take responsibility for their actions, and you will never hear them say, I'm sorry, unprompted. They will never back down in an argument. They will storm out, slam the phone down, or demand that you leave their home. And if they do apologize, it's only to get you to like them again, not because they are sorrowful for the way that they have treated you. Disrespecting your boundaries. Did you ever physically go without something or have something taken away from you that you actually needed? They may have refused to take you to a doctor because they didn't believe that you were ill, didn't believe you needed glasses, didn't let you move schools because you were being bullied. Internally, the parent may assume that you are doing all of these things for attention. You have a peanut allergy? Oh, pathetic. No one else in this family has a peanut allergy. The BPD parent will also read your diary, go through your journal, rummage through your belongings to find out what you are hiding from them because they are threatened by the unknown. They may have removed your bedroom door to shame you, to take away your privacy. Now, boundaries come in a variety of forms, such as emotional, physical, and I have an ultimate boundary guide that every emotionally mature person needs to have, so take a look at it next. Now, during puberty and your most hormonally exploding time, they will deny you of any sense of experiencing your transition to becoming an adult. For example, why are you in the shower for so long? What do you mean you want to shave your legs? Birth control pills to control your acne, thongs, tampons, deodorant, permission to shut your door at night? Are you out of your mind? The parents feel like they own you and they have full control over you. And the moment that you start to mature, they feel very uncomfortable. Even in adulthood, they will enter your home without knocking. They may rearrange the furniture in your home or eat your food without asking. Different public personas. Have you ever heard someone say that your dad is so lovely or your mum is so kind and you're like, wait, what, that person? Are you serious? But behind closed doors, when the mask drops, they become the real them. And as a child, this confuses your own judgment because you just can't comprehend why they are different. You gaslight yourself and you think that you are the problem. Now, they may adopt certain traits and mannerisms from the people that they are dating or friends with, such as dressing in a certain way to appease that person and fawn for closeness. They may change their behavior and language to suit whichever friends they are hanging out with. Now, this creates a huge sense of confusion and distrust for us to watch as a child. The constant criticism. A BPD parent is always threatened if they lose control of you. Now, instead of building you up and nourishing you, they always find a way to bring you down. They will always find a reason to complain about how you dress, how you cleaned the house, despite there being a compliment at the start of the sentence. Could be, for example, Mum, I've bought a house. It's going to be a renovation project because it's a lot cheaper, but I'm really happy. To what she might reply, that's nice, but don't expect me to come around whilst it's looking like a bomb site. And you could say, but it might take me 2 years for it to look good. And she's like, well, yep. Or you can say, Dad, we've decided to try for a baby. And his response could be, well, don't expect me to look after it. Now, a BPD parent lacks empathy and they withhold their love and affection. You may grow up feeling worthless, unloved, and find that you obsessively date anyone to feel loved, regardless if that person is right for you. They have unhealthy relationships. They won't have a big circle of friends, just a select few people that probably don't really know the true version of that person, only the mask that they show. Or they do have a select few friends that are just as toxic as them, because as we remember, we are a result of the 5 people that we hang out with. Humble brag to this video here. And yes, they will be overly critical and rude of their own friends behind their backs. Let's say your parents broke up. The BPD parent will have many intense relationships that possibly end abruptly. They have a new partner that they date for years that never actually moves in. They choose to date unavailable people, meaning someone that is already married. They fear letting people in, no matter if they engage in an affair or have a long-term relationship. They won't feel truly fulfilled and vulnerable in that relationship. Therefore, subconsciously dating people who are unable to give them love because really they are scared of being hurt by that love. Which kind of explains why toxic people date toxic people. There isn't a deep, secure feeling. It's only very surface level where both people are like, this is fine. Rocky is fine. As long as I don't have any of those boring normal relationships where I have to show the raw, vulnerable me, I'm okay with this. Some BPD parents can be obsessed with dating. They may flirt with your friends, act very inappropriate with them, and in some cases even flirt with your own partner. They become jealous of you and try to include themselves in your friend group by playing the cool, down-to-earth parent, or just try to keep you away from your friends and try to drive a wedge between you and your partner. Cutting their nose off to spite their face. Let's talk self-destruction, which is a method used to hurt someone out of spite or revenge, which actually hurts them. They will try to control you by forcing you to miss out on something. Maybe you turned up late because of the traffic to afternoon lunch that they prepared, and then when you arrive, they literally cancel everything and then they go home. If your BPD parent does not like your partner, well, you can expect them to turn up to the wedding dressed in white and then rage complaining when they get sent home to change. Overly critical of others. For someone that may say they don't like drama, they always have something rude to say of others. It will be your friends, your partner, their own friends, your other siblings. The insults can be about how someone is dressed, the way that they speak, their job, their finances, facial features. No one is ever just a person. They are either good or bad, which is their black and white thinking, and trying to soothe their negative sense of self, which is exaggerated because they always feel inferior and jealous of those around them. Golden child versus the scapegoat child. A BPD parent will categorize all of the siblings into a black and white category of who is the favored one and who is the scapegoat who causes all of the problems. Now, sometimes that order is switched depending on the mood of the parent, but usually the golden child witnesses a different version of the parent. They receive BPD affection, which isn't great and never consistent, but it's a version of affection, and they will go out of their way for them, compliment this child, adore them, bad behavior is ignored, and they stand up for this child. But as for the scapegoat child, they receive the overly critical version of the parent, such as the "Oh, you failed your maths exam? Well, I'm not surprised. Are you really going to wear that?" If there was any arguments with your siblings, did you notice who your BPD parent protected? If you were the scapegoat, you were ignored and your emotions dismissed. And the golden child was allowed to bully you because deep down, get this, the BPD parent felt that you deserved it to change. Now, it does not matter how well behaved you were as a child, how hard you tried at school, you could never appease the BPD parent if you were the scapegoat child. So you continue to try harder to prove that you are just as lovable as the golden sibling. Now, this label stays with the siblings as they grow up and is naturally played out during family reunions. Fear of abandonment. This is the core characteristic of BPD, but shown differently depending if the BPD parent is overbearing or under-involved in your life. The overbearing will call you endlessly to gain some form of emotional reassurance. They will double, they will triple text when you didn't respond to the first one, and they will always bring up, "Well, why haven't you called me? When are you next coming round?" Or the under-involved parent will disguise their needs for reassurance with jobs. For example, "You need to come round this Saturday to bring over your lawnmower because I desperately need it." And then when you take it over, you remember, hang on a second, she has no grass at all. If you visit your parents, they will start to act up, get cranky, and punishing you when you try to leave. Deep down, that is their anxiety of being alone starting to bubble. They may try to keep you on the phone and you feel the call is just going on forever as they start to offload about everything they've been up to just so you stay on that call a little bit longer. Now, it's common for BPD parents to dislike your own partner for the fear that they will literally and ridiculously steal you away from them. They don't want you to move out of the childhood home, yet they make it unbearable for you to live with them. Maybe you notice that they force the other parent to a separate bedroom where they lived their own separate lives in the same house, staying together to avoid the fear of being alone instead of breaking up. Now, this parent expects you to take care of them. They expect for you to be responsible to soothe their perceived abandonment. And in the moment where this parent feels extreme abandonment, they can emotionally clock out, better known as dissociation. Personally, I remember falling off my bike as a kid into a main road, and the parent just watched me fall, turned away, and carried on walking. Despite me being a little helpless child, literally stuck underneath my bike screaming, "Help, I'm stuck," they continued to walk away. And in that moment, that parent sadly had dissociated and was not in the present moment able to help their child. Now, many other people report their BPD parent watching them be abused by someone else and not acting in a way to help that child, just simply vacant. A lack of effort to know you. Christmas and birthdays feel very lonely because you start to notice the BPD parent buys gifts that don't really resonate with your likes and interests. Maybe they buy you something that you liked as a child which you haven't mentioned for the past 16 years. It's not about the gift, it's the thought that counts, right? Well, the lack of thought about what you like highlights the emotional neglect that you received as a child. Another plug to another video here. Their needs always come first, so they are emotionally unavailable due to the own trauma that they have received when they were younger. So not knowing who you really are is failure to actually validate you. And growing up, you may adopt the thought process that your interests don't really matter. You may wonder why you never had a hobby growing up, or you weren't too sure what you were good at and not pushed to do the things that you wanted to do because you were not given a safe environment to explore your interests. Being vulnerable and dependent triggers them. It could have felt that the more that you needed your parents, parent, the worse the BPD symptoms become. You actually receive the label of being too sensitive and being too clingy and needy. Your needs end up dismissed, you are invalidated, and you are met with anger and aggression. Growing up, you never learn who you are. You are unable to voice your own needs, unable to express negative emotions. Instead, you keep them locked inside. You become the parent. They expect you to emotionally comfort them. Were you told that you were so wise as a young child? Now, a child should never be expected to be a parent's therapist or to look after them. And a parent should never be explaining why she is divorcing daddy when you are 10 years old and crying into your shoulder. If that happens, you grow up with codependent tendencies because all you've ever known is to care for people by default. So you seek out partners who need to be emotionally comforted or physically comforted, just like the BPD parent forced upon you. BPD parents have children to feel something, to fill a void of emptiness, thinking that their baby will grow into their best friend to emotionally soothe them. They actually don't realize what parenting actually involves and how hard it is. And if you raised yourself because of your parents' emotional neglect, chances are one or more of your parents have cluster B traits, aka BPD, narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, or antisocial personality disorder. Intense emotional reactions. Borderline parents often react to situations with heightened emotionality. A small argument can escalate quickly into a major conflict. Even a simple, "please don't speak to me like that," will trigger a fit of rage. Expect big reactions for small situations. A chronic sense of emptiness or boredom is common in those with BPD. They may always tell you that they are bored, but they have zero hobbies and passions because nothing fulfills them. They will become passive aggressive when they don't get their own way, ignore you, and refuse to apologize. Now, there is always something more going on in their head that they feel justifies that intense outburst. For example, they may throw away your belongings because you didn't put them away quick enough. Therefore, their anger was your fault. Impulsiveness. Impulse control does not exist. They can't think ahead if they should do something, they just do it. Could be drug abuse, alcoholism, reckless driving, spending lots of money when they don't really have it, a lot of one-night stands, or just simply rearranging the whole house by the time you got home from school, because they act on the whim that doing that thing will relieve negative feelings, even if it means saying something catastrophic and extremely hurtful in an argument, or forcing you to do something that will upset you. So, what happens when you live a life with a BPD parent? Well, you end up lacking boundaries, you date toxic people, and you live a life feeling empty, unloved, and unfulfilled. But with some self-love and acknowledging that you didn't do anything wrong, you were quite simply dealt a bad set of cards. This eases the pain a little bit more as each day passes. And you may have noticed that you have adopted certain BPD traits from your parent, as remember, we are taught how to respond to our environment from our parents. And if that resonates with you, just take some time to deeply feel it. Start to recognize when your default behaviors aren't helpful or kind and work on challenging them a day at a time. And of course, we do not shame mental health here. It's crucial to remember that individuals with BPD are more than just their disorder. They have their own struggles and they deserve empathy and support for the trauma that they experienced. However, that doesn't mean that you should forgive their actions, and you are not expected to continue a relationship with someone who isn't putting in the work to heal their own wounds. You are loved and you are appreciated, and I'm so grateful that you are here working on yourself. And I'll see you in the next video.